Teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy, otherwise known as adolescent pregnancy, is defined by the United Nations World Health Organization as the pregnancy of teenage girls who are in between the ages of 13 and 19. Such girls are regarded not to have reached the legal adulthood age of getting pregnant and giving birth. Teenage pregnancies are not only common in the middle and low-income countries worldwide, but also present in developed countries in Europe and the United States of America. In the modern world, where teenage sex is an everyday activity, teenage pregnancy is a common sight. Teenage pregnancy dates back to hundreds of years ago, yet it was not an alarming issue since it was not considered socially unacceptable back then. This video was meant to discuss the background history of teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy has always been there ever since the world came into existence, but was accepted socially since girls get married at young ages. The issue of teenage pregnancy never existed. It was normal in the previous centuries and still common in developing countries up to date. In conclusion, teenage pregnancy has been in existence since time immemorial. It became an issue when in the mid-19th century when childbearing was associated with adulthood. Its peak was in the 1950s, but over the years it reduced less sex among teens. The introduction of contraceptive services, policies of involving teenage fathers and education on sex are some of the factors that have led into the declining of early pregnancy. Currently, teenage pregnancy is still common in developing countries, and among the developed countries, it is most common in the United States of America. My social advocacy is about teenage pregnancy. The video presentation I've showed is about the history of teenage pregnancy that dated back thousands of years ago. And it's actually a form of like an achievement back then to prove that a woman is already matured enough to play a role in their society, which is to become a mother, the role of a mother. But on our current generation, teenage pregnancy shouldn't be a normal thing as it is before, because in our current generation we don't need to prove maturity in form of pregnancy anymore, because in all those years that teenage pregnancy seems common, we already seen that it's not a good thing, because it makes teenagers or young age to be overwhelmed by tasks that a mother has. And teenage pregnancy has a long-term effects on physical and mental wellness of women, especially of 14 to 19 years old, which is the common ages of teenagers getting pregnant. So first, long-term physical effects of teenage pregnancy are eclampsia, which is about seizures and coma that happens to pregnant women. And they are at high risk because their body wasn't matured enough to bear the stress of giving birth. And also, and the mental effects of teenage pregnancy are depression and increased rate of suicide ideation that will eventually lead to suicide. Actually, the major contributor of our increased suicide rate in Philippines are teenage parents. And it's an alarming situation that our government doesn't put a lot of efforts on solving. And this suicide rate and also teenage pregnancy rate gradually increases every year. It doesn't seem to be decreasing if they're really putting efforts on solving it, right? I want us teenagers to be aware of this current issue that we're facing, because a one night pleasure may change your life forever, and that responsibility might lead to the destruction or the betterment of your life? Well, most of the time it's the destruction, and the recovery phase of it is was too hard that some people tend to end their life rather than help themselves. Let us thoroughly think first before we give in to lust, or maybe use protections, contraceptives. That's why they are made, so that we can enjoy our youth without such responsibilities of being a parent too early. Thanks.